here's what we're trying to do, right? So we put out a lot of video content on ASP and ASB, but the feedback we're getting is it's a little disjointed. So we wanted to try and put together a series taking you through essentially, okay, I've downloaded, I've installed it. Now, what am I doing with this thing? So all the way through to some advanced topics, which we will do progressively in these webinars. But today we wanted to keep it relatively basic so that anyone who's in a trial or has started the subscription knows how to get off to a good start, and that we're clear on the objectives, what you can do, what are realistic expectations, and how to take those expectations and then apply across multiple markets or multiple accounts, which is why I continue to suggest that in video. I think we want to put together more of a structured format. So that's what we're trying to do today. So this will be relatively rudimentary, and many of you, again, right? If you've been building algos for a while, this may be a bit redundant for you, but we have to start at the basics here. So you can look forward to more advanced webinars. So getting into footprint, that kind of stuff, as we progress. Okay, so the easiest thing to do. Oh, let's see. No, here I've got 5 charts up with 30 days of data, and either I've got 1 minute or 150-second up on a few of these. Since so many of you trade the MNQ, let's do the MNQ. Right, so I turned data off at just about 11 o'clock here. I don't think we'll need it. So let's go ahead and open it up and just get started here. Let's see. So I'm going to bring this over. Okay, so when you see mine, of course, I have ASB and ASP. So you're going to see things that you actually, I actually should have opened it here. So if you have ASP and if you've trialed it, now if you trial it, all of these are hot. You still have access to it. If you're just in the ASB subscription, this is what you're going to see, and you won't have access to these. So it's tempting for me to want to go over here because that's my tendency, but we're going to stay focused here on ASB and just kind of go through, all right, what's available to you? What are all these columns and how do they relate to what your objective is here? And the controls of all the variables, which are really quite substantial. You've heard me say this in videos. It would be very rare for 2 people to end up with the exact same algo. Right, which I think is a real plus because there's so many variables that you can tweak. So there is a little bit of a treasure hunt to it, as in you're trying to find a unique combination that gives you just the slightest edge, which is really all we're after. And all we can realistically expect is it's just a slight edge that would come from a back test. Now, back test, right, is a back test, right? We're not forecasting, but based on that back test, we can make a reasonable deduction that there's a slight edge there. Now, that edge may not last for long. And Erwin and I talk about this a lot in terms of how to best deal with what's called strategy decay, where that slight edge that you have will decay over time as new data comes into the market. And that's why a consistent process of re-optimizing is as quickly as, after 5 days of trading data, to re-optimize to see, does that edge need to be tweaked, adjusted? I mean, you could even come in with a different weighting of risk tolerance based on the results from the prior week. So even if you had a fantastic week, we would still recommend that you re-optimize so that you don't suffer from that strategy decay. So that whole the process of re-optimizing, fortunately, is relatively quick. Now, we're going to work with 30 days of data that may or may not give us what we would always encourage you to target, which is 100 trades, right? That's kind of a minimum threshold for determining whether there is an edge. So if we do one here, because I'm keeping I don't want you to be sitting through optimization, times, which can be 3-5 minutes if you're working with 45 days of data. So we'll keep these shorter. So I'm not trying to design an algo that you're going to trade today or tomorrow. We're just trying to go through the process. So let's go ahead and just build one here on the MNK or on the MNQ. I've got 150-second. Which is, I mentioned this in a couple of videos. A member kept asking me about optimizing his 150-second. So I was helping him, and I was like, hey, I get some pretty good results with this, so I've just stayed with it. But let's go ahead and build one. Now, when you're building an ASB algo, there's no right way to do it. There is no combination that's better than another combination. So it's just a matter of how you want to approach it. So pretty typically, well, let's just do a typical. This is the kind of thing that people would start with. So let's just do, about as rudimentary as we can do it. So let's put an EMA in there. Okay, good. All right, so we got an EMA. So I might add an SMA too. Okay, now what else would I want to see in here? Well, the ATR would probably be important to me, right? So we want to, so the idea being that I want it trading when there's volatility, perhaps not when there's a lack of volatility. So okay, so I've got three started there, and then just for a bit of diversification, again, something drop dead about this is where I'm just assuming someone who would just got started here. Okay, well I got an EMA, an SMA, ATR, and an RSI. Perfectly, no reason to not start there. I mean, all good. Now, this is a new feature. Just one thing, just to digress for just a second. I think we're over 50 different revs on these two products. Oh, it's well over ASP is well over 50. This is a constantly evolving product. This came yesterday. Because I said to Erwin, wouldn't it be a good idea if maybe we could isolate I wanted to use RSI. So if it gives me an algo that doesn't use the RSI, well, hey, I wanted it to use that. Well, now I can do this. I can go to the RSI and say, yes, I don't want you to give me an algo that does not use the RSI. Now that's one way to do it. And the other way down here, we can determine the minimum number of indicators that it's going to use. So if I could say to it here, okay, I want you to use all four of those. I could just go down here and make that four. Then it's going to only search for combinations that use all four of those. And
Yeah,
perhaps,
small correction there,
oh,
Sam. If you put
oh,
in
please.
four, if you put in four, it might use four EMAs, for example, or two
Oh,
EMAs and
oh,
ATR
pardon
and
me.
an SMA.
Pardon me. So this will be okay. So it might give me four very. Oh, well, that's new, right? So I think I sent you a note last night as to whether or not this was overriding this. Well, okay, well that's new information for me. So if I want it to be sure to use the RSI, if I do this, but now does that mean what you? I'm learning with you. Does that mean if I do this and I do this and I make this two, it could give me two RSIs? You follow
It
me?
could indeed, theory. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So if I did this and then I went back to my managed list and I hit, so it's going to use the RSI. It may or may not use the other three or the other three. It may do two RSIs. Is that right?
yeah,
Okay. All right. Well, let's come back here to this and let's go. Well, let's go ahead. Let's just do what we've got here. So I'm yes, use the ATR. Let's do a minimum of two. Here, let's just go. Let's go with that, right? Just because here's the thing I can tell you. There's been no pre-planning here. I have zero idea what's going to come up, other than I'm fairly confident I'm going to get something profitable. Now, let's just while we're here going through this, let's just go through these each. So population size, right? So there's no reason to touch these unless you're an advanced user as it is, right? Particularly for those of you that are just getting started with it, go ahead and just leave those at the default. Now here, a lot of choices. And this is why I say it would be very rare for two people to come up with the same algo because you can change all of these as well as do custom versions of this. Now, the default is optimized equity curve, which is nice, just a blend, right? It's just a 50-50. I think it's K ratio and net profit. Again, there's no right way to do it. That's a very reasonable place to start. So we'll go ahead and leave that here. Now, the filters in sample and out of sample. Now, these are important, but essentially what Erwin has done here, we're trying to alleviate the problem with optimization that is very well documented, which is overfitting to give you a positive result. So these are his efforts and some pretty sophisticated coding in terms of how to try and minimize that over optimization variable that you're always dealing with when you're optimizing. So again, some of these here you can experiment with, but in sample, out of sample, minimum trades, that's essentially saying it, okay, don't give me a great result that had 5 trades. So as a minimum here, again, no reason to touch those. Minimum indicators and number of trades per day. Again, we just looked at minimum indicators here. I think the default is 1. Again, no right answer there. Just do a little experimenting. So let's go ahead and just leave it at 2. Again, I don't know what we're going to get here. In sample, out of sample, again, defaults, probably no reason to fuss with that unless you're a very advanced user and you know what you're doing. So go ahead and leave those. I might would encourage you to leave those as default. The money, now this is huge, right? Because this is something I don't know of any other product that has this built in here. So we're adding in into the Monte Carlo simulation slippage and commission. Right now, of course, if you were to build something here and take it over to the Ninja strategy, right, it doesn't include commission, it doesn't include, right, these are just built in. So once again, trying to minimize an unrealistic result due to optimization. What's real? Well, 2 ticks of slippage, pretty real. Commission, okay, we got to factor that in, right? You wouldn't want a result here that looked great and then you add commission, oh, not so good, right? So we want to put that in. How about stop? Well, the point here is that if you were optimizing and using ATR exit, or it gave you, a great result, but it had an ATR that was just way too large, and it still gave you a good result, we're trying to put a limit on that. So don't go past, 5 times the ATR as my stop. And same thing with a profit target. We don't want something, what you want to avoid is something that buys in the morning and then goes through all the volatility of the day and then is exiting at the end of the day. So we're giving it ranges here to stay within that are realistic so we don't get unrealistic results. Same thing with a max stop loss. Now you can change that, right? These are defaults we're looking at here, which I would encourage you to stay with until you start working with it and you start to understand, well, if I change that, okay, how does that affect my results? Is it too many trades? Too few trades? Good, but a good starting point to just leave these as default here, where your tweaking is up here, right? Minimum indicators, minimum trades, 3 a day, probably reasonable to leave that alone. I'd leave this alone. Now, trading hours. Okay, now for this, see, this is a bit of a wild card. Now, you can come over here and we can do this and we say, okay, that's RTH hours only. Well, okay, if you're US based, fine. But if you're in the UK, you may want to include London hours, or if you're in Asia, you may want to include Asian hours. I'm going to leave this unchecked for now because I'm trying to get us to a trading threshold of 100 trades. So by disabling that, it's going to do 24/5, which is just going to get us more trades. But we'll look at it both with that filter on and off and just kind of evaluate the results. Some of you may, if you're in front of your machine all day, have no problem with that. Others, you may be using a VPS, right? So you have it, you're not worried about Ninja lag or freeze or anything like that, but you could run it, maybe you want to run it from 2 in the morning to 11 Eastern time, right? That so that you'd be getting London in the first 2 hours of the New York session. A lot of variables here if I wanted to do that. So for example, I just come over here and I say, okay, I'm gonna make this 2. I'm gonna change this. I'm gonna make this 11, right? And then I'm gonna get from London's open to London's closed, right? With the overlap of New York. So those are some variables. So I'm gonna leave it unchecked for the time being. Now, trading rules. I do the same thing every time. I always do this, and I do this because I know that the majority of you are likely working with prop accounts. So I don't want anything that's going to have a daily loss limit in excess of 500. In other words, if it hits a minus 500, I want it to turn off, stop trading. Now, there's a couple of different ways to do that, right? You can do that within the Ninja strategy builder, but in terms of all the backtest results, I don't want a drawdown more than 500. So that's in my trading rules. The other thing that I always do, I do this every time, I don't want more than 3 to 5 losers in a row. Consecutive loss limit. So that's kind of a default template for me. I leave the rest of it just default. There's no reason not to, right? So I leave those and I click OK. Now we're going to come down here, and as I've got it right now, this would be, oh, this is something we built in because if you played with it a little bit, you can see an example where it might be long, but it hasn't reached its target, and the market starts to come the other direction. It's still in the market, and then a sell signal develops, but you're still long. So what we're trying to do is avoid that, and so he's giving you different weightings here to try and minimize that. Reasonable to start at the first, but if you're seeing too much of that, then go to medium or go to heavy. But light for our purposes here, let's go ahead and leave that. But just so you understand what it's trying to do, and if you've watched it trade, you've likely seen that once or twice, where it's long, hasn't hit its target, sell signals are going off, but you're not short because you're still in the long. That's what it's trying to minimize. Right, just for clarity. Okay, I think we got everything. We cover everybody there. We did. Okay, so
Let's generate. You want to see it working, Sam?
yeah, okay, there we go. I at least had to go through what they are.
Yeah. No, no,
All
just
right,
kidding.
Erwin's like, come on, crank it, crank
Yeah,
it,
come
crank it.
on, show it, show it.
Okay, there we go. All right, so there you go. So now here's the thing that you need to appreciate. Look down here. This is going through 40,000 different combinations of those indicators that we gave it. 40,000. And what it's doing is, if you've played with it, you've seen this. Because it's not approaching this with any predefined idea about what's appropriate, how the right way to use an RSI, the right way to use an EMA, the right way to use whatever the indicator is. It doesn't give a shit about that. It's just looking for the combination that works, and because it's the type of algorithm that it is, where it's generic algorithm, right? Is that right, Erwin? Because
Yeah,
so essentially what it's doing is it gets a result. It might get 100 results. It'll take the best one and throw out the rest, and then it'll keep going. So it's consistently throwing out the bad and keeping the good. Very simplified way of describing it.
yeah,
But
that's what it's doing. But there is more to it. It's also giving penalties for everything which looks like it's fake. It's curve fit. So, for example, if a strategy has a win rate of, let's say, 100%, uh, or a profit factor of 10 or something like that, it will simply throw it away. If the Monte Carlo analysis shows that, okay, the equity curve looks good, but if you Monte Carlo test it, your drawdown gets 10 times worse, it will throw it away. So it's not just optimizing like the Ninja Trader strategy analyzer for net profit or something
net
like
profit,
that.
right?
It's actually not, how do you say, not ranking on profit. It's ranking on those strategies which can take
Hmm.
the most punches, the most heat. So it's trying to optimize on the robustness. And that's what you also see if you, for example, go to the Monte Carlo analysis.
Yeah.
Uh,
It looks like it's got 2 minutes left here, so I'm just going to let it run. And just
yeah, yeah,
while it's running here, we'll go down to what we're looking at here. So it's going to rank them based on profitability, the weighting here that we're giving here. So there's some logic behind that I'll defer to Erwin on how it's ranking them. It's not always going to be the most profitable that's going to be at the top. Of course, if you wanted to sort these by columns, you can, but man, I suffer from allergies. But so what you're looking at here on the top, these are all of, I think I can do that while it's running. So you get your choices is okay. So there's done. So that's 3 minutes and 33, essentially 3 minutes to run through 40,000 different combinations to give you this result. Now, before we go look at them, just so you understand, all of this, again, this was relatively recent addition here. You can select whatever is important to you in these columns. So if you don't care about in sample, out of sample, maybe you do, maybe you don't, right? I can remove those here. If I want to see more, I want to see more of this, I've got all of these choices here. So you can make this actually, longer than your screen might be able to accommodate here. You got a lot of choices here of what you want to view up here. So again, there's no right answer here. It's just what your experience or what you want to see. Things that I always make a point of looking at. I don't really care about the ranking other than okay, I acknowledge it. What I'm looking for is I go immediately over here. I want to see the Monte Carlo ranking. Then I want to see number of trades. I want to see what my Monte Carlo score looks like here. So this looks good. So I will always defer to excellent or outstanding because I know if I start going down and I see good, even good to weak, well, look, these are all, quite, this is pretty, again, I have no idea what we're going to get here. These are all very good. The other things that I immediately start looking for is stop loss to take profit. What does that ratio look like? Is it positive or negative here? These all look pretty good. In sample, out of sample, things you just want to review And then, I will come down here and start going. Let's bring this down a little bit lower and start going through some of these. And I might want to say, okay, well, let's see which one's the most profitable. Right. So I can go up here. Oh, 4 grand. Okay. Well, that's not bad, but it's ranked number 31. So why is it not ranked number one? Right. That might be the first question that would occur to you is like, why is it
Well,
not number one?
well, just look, for example, because if you look at just at the equity curve, it looks amazing, right?
Yeah.
So why is this ranked number 31? Well, look at the in-sample profit versus the out-sample profit.
Right.
All the profit is made in sample, which is basically the optimization period. And during the out of sample, which is the forward testing, it hardly made any profit.
Good
So
point.
this is very good, the optimized version. But the moment you run this live, it will lose money, and that's why it's ranked 31 and not number one.
Good
And
point. Right. So let's go to number one, which is right below. And now we look at in sample versus out of sample.
yeah, and
All right.
you still see, of course, well, a big difference, right? It makes like 2K in
Mm-hmm.
sample and 1K out of sample. But you have to realize that this 2K in sample is made on 70% of the data because that's what we set in the settings. And
Mm-hmm.
the 1K is made on only 30% of the data. And if you then think about it, then it's actually very good that it was possible to make 1K with just 30% of the data.
Yeah, and that's back to where we started, where we're going over these. Again, these
Over
are
the in sample, yeah, yeah.
right in sample versus out of sample here. So you want to look at those. So that ranking, he's kind of he stepped on my progression there. But the idea, because he can explain it to it better than I can, as to how he's built the code to rank these. But also note the drawdown here. So this one is got more profit, but it's a higher drawdown. It's still outstanding Monte Carlo here. But then if we start looking at stop loss to take profit, right? So, okay, some of these, I may not like them, or I may want to rerun because I want to see a bigger profit target relative to the stop loss. That's not necessarily a requirement, but it might be something I would drill down on. The other thing I might do is here is say, okay, well, number of trades. How many trades here? That's a lot of trades here at 84. So that's number 84. Well, I've got a nice profit here. I've got a nice profit here, but boy, that's a lot of trades here, but it's only number 38. So if you're looking at something, going, why, 38, right? Just as he told you, right? I mean, the ranking should be something that you pay attention to. So let's go back to our ranking here.
Yeah,
And
and
then
and the same thing is over here basically, that um, the number one is basically the best ranked. So even if you don't understand all these numbers,
don't
you
ignore the
cannot
ranking,
just
right?
that's the best one basically.
Yeah. Right.
Um,
So then immediately I'll go over to Monte Carlo and say, okay, well, if there's any negative, what is it about? Average profit per trade. Okay, well, so I can see here, well, my stop loss is 2.2 times the ATR. My take profit is 1.9. So it's, almost 1 to 1.
no, almost 2 to 1.
Excuse me, pardon me, to almost 2 to 1. Excuse me. And my drawdown's acceptable, right? I've got an outstanding rank here. So the average profit per trade, okay, maybe that's something that I want to tweak a little bit. Maybe not. But do I have something that's tradable? Well, what you might do here is, oh, let's see, I can't go over to ASP. Um, oh, let's see. If I were going to show this, let's see what would be the best way to do that, Erwin?
What do you want to show?
I'd have to put it in the strategy.
Yeah, because that's basically the next step. Now that we have a strategy, then the next step becomes, okay, what are you going to do with it? Because of course
So
you
do
want
you,
to.
do you want me to save it as a Ninja script and then show it that way?
Well, let's first explain the options, because from here you have 2 options. You can load it in ASP if you have ASP,
Yeah, that's
and
that's
then you can further tweak, refine, optimize it, add change rules. Basically, everything which ASP gives you, and of course you can also live trade it. Um, and the other one is the save Ninja script. And the save Ninja script will save it as a Ninja script strategy, which you can just add to your chart and immediately start live trading.
that's right.
you get the source code. So if you know how to code or you know a programmer, you can change the code if you want.
Yeah, so if I were to save that here, you're just going to remember that name. So I'll often put whatever the asset is, right? So I don't lose track of it, but of course by date, et cetera. So if we want to save that, and then it gives you this nice little sequence. And this is important that you pay attention here. So often just do a screen grab if you need to, because what you're going to need to go to a script editor and just compile to make sure that there's not any issues with it. Once it's completed the compile, then you would add it as a strategy. All right, because you don't. That's how it's going to be traded from within Ninja's strategy,
Yeah.
and then you're ready to go, right? And then you do a little tweaks there if you want to. You're going to look at the last 30 days of data. You want to add commission, that type of thing. What we can do here, just as
sorry to
oh no,
interrupt
go
you,
ahead.
Sam. Uh, One thing also to mention is that if you save it as a Ninja script strategies, you can just run it on any PC you want. You don't need a license of Auto Strategy Builder on that PC. You can just run it anywhere where you have NinjaTrader running.
Yeah, good point, right? So, yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. So I've got something here that, I mean, if you looked at that, right, would you say, well, I'm not trading that? Or would you look at that and go, God damn, I want to trade that? I mean, now look at the rules here. This is, see, I'm so used to ASP here. So we look at it a little bit differently here. And my point being, this is not the type of thing that you would come up with on your own. Again, because it doesn't care about how people typically use an RSI or an EMA. The RSI with a 10-10 on the RSI and the smooth is an average less of 53, and that's a long. Well, we've all been conditioned that we only want to be long when it's above 53, at 53 or higher. Well, that doesn't intuitively that doesn't make sense. What? Wait, what? Yet there's the equity curve.
Yeah, and one thing to note here, Sam, because there's a lot of confusion about it, so let me explain
Yeah,
this.
please do.
The strategy, many people confuse the strategy which is shown here as a and. So all 5 rules in this case should occur at the same bar. But that's not the case. It's sequential.
It's
So
right sequential.
it first needs the RSI to be lower than 53. Then the EMA should be less than the high. Then the EMA should be rising. So it's condition after condition after condition. So basically, it creates strategies which says if this happens and then that happens and then that happens, then we go long. It's not creating strategies where it says, well, all these 5 rules need to happen at once before we go long. And that's why you see sometimes all strange combinations, if you think about it, that you see, oh, the EMA must be rising and it must be falling and then rising again, which makes sense if you think about it sequentially,
That's
but
right.
not if you expect that all to be happening in a single bar.
Right. Yeah. It's because people that have worked with ASP could get confused there and creating that sequence. I mean, that's a process in ASP to create that sequence. Here, it's creating it for you. And correct me if I'm wrong, Erwin, but I think all the results here are sequential.
Yeah.
Always sequential. So then we can just continue looking down this. Okay, well, you know, I don't know that I care that this is weird or I don't really care. This is what I care about. I care about the equity curve. And then I come down here and go, well, what's my risk? Okay. What's my daily loss limit here? So this is killing any algo, any day that it's running at minus 200. If it hits 3,400, okay, it's going to stop for the day. I think we'll be okay. Max, it's already, see, remember we gave it those trading rules over here? We said, hey, okay, I want you to stay within those rules. Well, it has stayed within them. Okay, max consecutive losers, 4. Remember I told it 3 to 5 at a max. Max consecutive winners, 20. Okay, I can live with that. Max daily trades is 18. Remember, we didn't put a limit on number of trades, only on number of losers in a row. Exposure, right? So now we started looking at some numbers here. These are pretty good. Sharp ratio of 5.32. That's very good. Profit factor, very good. 40, win rate, I don't care about the win rate. What I care about, the rest of these numbers here. Now, and something else that I will often do, if I get something that's good here, that's a little choppy like this, the first place I always go is sharp ratio because first thing I want to know is can it be smoothed out? Now, that's just me personally. Again, there's no right way to do it, but I don't want to get something that's choppy and then have to go again. So I want to know that I always start with Sharpe ratio. Can it be smooth? If it can, okay, well then maybe I want to go. I mean, I've done, net profit and Sharpe ratio. I've done, I just call it boat, right? Because I've put in a whole bunch of them. That's the full boat. Um, there's lots of combinations here that I would encourage you to experiment with. It's not just one thing to make a point. It's not the kind of thing to do, while the market's moving and while you're trading. You want to be doing this after market hours when you're not distracted. That's why I disconnected from data. You want to be doing this when you have time to let it run. And even, right, something that might, if you're running on 60 or 90 days of data, go have dinner and run it, right? And when you come take a look at it later, because that could take 20 minutes, right? You don't want to be standing in your machine going, okay, come on, come on, come on. Let it run, do something else while you're, especially on larger data sets. Now, what we can do, for the experimentation, just so
About the data sets, by the way, I had a few questions of people who just started with strategy builder and they asked, okay, but can I, for example, create a strategy for gold? And where do I put in the number of days it should use for trading? And that's just your chart. So if you load up a gold chart for let's say 60 days, then the strategy created will be for gold for those 60 days you have loaded. So basically the chart you are loading, that's the data that's used by the strategy builder.
okay. Just had someone asking if there will be more advanced, which I maybe someone had joined late, but I mentioned this was going to be for those that are just getting started. So very rudimentary on this first one. We'll get more complex and to maybe even get into looking at sending things over to ASP to do more refinement. But this is, I mean, you have don't think you don't have a very tradable strategy here. You absolutely do. I mean, here are the numbers. Now, are you going to see that result? Probably not. But do you have an edge? That's the only thing that you're really trying to determine. Do I have an edge, and is my drawdown
Yeah.
here acceptable? And if I have that slightest of edge, then it's tradable. Now, just to
Yeah, and
go ahead.
sorry to interrupt you again, but I think we should make this very clear that the strategy builder is not generating strategies which will you can turn on and trade for years.
Yeah,
We are looking in this case here at a 150 seconds chart. Most of you will use probably a minute chart or something similar like a range chart of the last 30 or 60 days. The strategy builder will find edges in those markets, micro edges, and those micro edges won't last weeks or months. So it's very important that you realize that yes, these three strategies work, but they won't work for week or months. And that's what
yeah,
Sam
that's right.
also explained in the
Yeah,
beginning. Trade them for a couple of days or a week, and then just throw them away and make new ones because those edges will disappear. It's just a fact of the market.
yeah, yeah. And for those of you, I mean, just for an example, because I don't think it's going to take very long. Let's just run this on RTH hours. See how quickly we get an adjustment, and because that would be your natural progression if you're in the States or primarily trading because of better volume. Now you see we had almost 300 trades last time here. We're still getting some here. I'm watching over here. I want to see those good Monte Carlo scores. I want to see number of rule. Obviously, I'm looking at the equity curve as well. Um, I mean, it's a pretty good start. And remember, this is running bell to bell, right? We're not taking it out for the lunch drift and more in the. Now you could, right, if you wanted to just say, oh, I only want to trade from the open to Europe's close. Well, you just tweak that in the trading hours. You'll find many times if you were to look at the breakdown if you send it over to ASP or looked at it by the half an hour in the ASP or in the Ninja strategy analyzer, there are going to be times of the day where it might be extremely negative. And you might say, well, okay, well, what's very common? 10 o'clock reversal, right? That's the old silver bullet, right? That the 10 o'clock is going to reverse the opening move. So it may be that you have an indicator that's great, from 9:30 to 10, not so good from 10 to 10:30, but 11 to 11:30, it's good again, and maybe it's good in the last hour. Those are really common trading parameters that you might find it here. But by doing this, I've just told it, okay, I want you to go bell to bell. How does it do bell to bell? Well, it's looking pretty good. Bell to bell. Now remember,
Um,
the other thing to remember is that these are one lots, micros.
yes.
You go ahead, Erwin.
Yeah, sorry. Can you open the indicator manage tab or dialog for me?
You want me to
Yeah,
stop
that one.
this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you can.
Oh no, I can do it. Okay.
And just click on one of the yeah. So this was a question from incognito. What if it has multiple plots? Well, you can see in this case we have an EMA which is just one plot. But
Oh,
if you select another one, the MACD, for example, has multiple plots. Just a simple one.
right.
Yeah.
So I just that's
So
ours,
yeah,
which is a very sophisticated MACD.
you can
Um,
see on the top that it says all the plots, and you can just check which ones you want to use.
yeah, so that's a good point, right? So by default here, it's going to click all of these on. If you wanted
Yeah.
to have it just focus on, well, okay, I only want you to focus on the slope of the MACD. Well, you just do that, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
and
so
also the plots itself you can enable to disable.
right. So you got you can do it up here, you can do it down here. Okay, so that
No, sorry, there's a difference. Sam. The plots is which plots it will use, and the below it are the settings. Each will
pardon me, did
optimize.
I say that? Okay, pardon me.
Yeah, yeah.
Plots and parameters, right? Let's make that distinction. Plots,
And
parameters.
another question incognito have is how do you know um, how should I explain it? What values do we use? Because, for example, when we have an EMA is just a line on the chart, so the plot will always be a price. But a lot of our indicators are indeed also outputting signals like -2, -1 to go long or short. And the strategy builder actually can handle this. So it will know if the plot output is a price or something like an RSI where it's fixed between 0 and 100, or it is a signal to go long or short. So it's very smart in that case. Spend a lot of time on developing that. So I'm not going to tell you exactly
Mhm.
how it detects it, but know that yeah, it will handle that perfectly.
Well, it finished running here, so now we can compare this. And again, we've got our ranking here. Pay attention to the ranking because that's not just randomly done, and it's not just tied to max profit, right? So we can see here it's almost a grand more in profit here, but it's lower on the ranking. So I always look here, stop loss to take profit. How does that look? I don't want to see huge stop loss and a tiny little take profit, which can happen. In sample, out of sample, I want to look here. So if this is number one, I want to look at in sample, out of sample. Okay, decent, decent. Excellent here. Not outstanding, but excellent, right? Excellent's still going to be very good here. You might like to see a little bit more of that, above the line than below. Drawdown score is the negative it's getting. And what is our drawdown here? Oh, max drawdown was 512 relative to the total profit. So you can see why here. So often the other thing I'll do is sort them by drawdown because anything that's too high, I'm not going to want to consider, and then I'm going to look at total profit relative to max drawdown. And so here, number four looks pretty good, right? So it's number four. So I know the the rest of these conditions are going to be favorable. I'm at outstanding on my Monte Carlo here. So I look, whoa. So I may want to trade number four, not number one. The in sample, out of sample, not quite as good. Total profit's good. Sharp ratio, excellent. Max drawdown, 469, 104 trades. So I always look at that and go, okay, why would I not trade that? I ask Erwin that all the time. I'll send him something
Yeah.
like that and go, tell me why I'd not trade that. And the
About
answer is,
trading,
I will.
maybe we should show them the last piece, like saving the ninja script and
Okay.
adding it to your chart.
You don't want me to do an ASP or a Ninja script?
No, ninja script for now.
Okay, so I'm going to save this one. Well,
Yeah.
Eagle Warrior. Okay, we'll save Eagle Warrior. All
Okay.
right. So let's save it.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we got to go. Let's see. I don't want to close this, do I?
No, you just open the ninja. If you go to the ninja trader
Yeah, yeah,
console,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
console
yeah. I
panel.
know. Yeah, yeah. I know how to do it. He thinks because I asked him 15 times. How do I do that again? So I'm going to go to my strategies. And I just did, oh shit, what did we just do? This one is Eagle Warrior. Eagle Warrior. I'm going to double click on it. Now, first thing I have to do is I have to compile just to double check that everything's okay.
Yeah. So, and while it's compiling, you can see here the strategy description, just in case you later want to think, what was the strategy doing again? So there's the description, and below is all the code. For those who know the code or know developer, you can tweak it as you like.
If you
After it's,
wanted to.
if you want to, after it's compiled, which it, you can simply close the Ninja script editor. Um,
Now I'm going to go here. I'm going to go to
and you
strat.
can, you, sorry, no, just close this, the Ninja script editor. You
I
don't
did.
really need. Oh, I
Do-
still see it. Oh, there. Now it's gone. Yeah. And
Okay, so
now you can select the strategies from either the menu or via right click. Yeah.
let me remove that, right? So I've got Eagle Warrior on there. Now here are the variables, right? We looked at this.
No, this is the HP one. Eagle Warrior is up top. This is you. You now selected the Algo Studio Code Trader. So
No,
that's.
no,
Oh yeah,
what
there.
yeah, you might have a slight lag, right?
There's a small leg. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
so there's Eagle Warrior,
Yeah.
right? So I'm looking here. It's one quantity. There's the stop. Right? Those are all the conditions that came over from ASB. Right?
Exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
here's my trading hours. Close at the end of the session. Here's my daily loss limit, right? We were talking about that, right? So all of these conditions here, we'll do this in sim, right? So we've got to enable it, right? All of this just basic ninja stuff. So you know what? I can't. I got to connect to data here. Let me give me a second.
Yeah. No worries.
Um,
People will understand how this works.
okay, let me.
But just know that for those who never use strategies before, um, it's not like an indicator completely. You have to enable a strategy. So there's a checkbox
That's right. So if I were
to
to
enable them.
if I come to
Yeah,
strat, oh, I've got a bunch of them here.
exactly. There you can see on
So
the right. Yeah,
there would here. So I would enable that.
yeah.
So, okay, all right. So that's that. I mean,
And
you can do it from within, right? You can do it here. It's just faster to go to your Ninja and do it here. But since I'm not connected to data, it's not giving me that it's not making that hot. But so you can see. I mean, here's your back test. Right. So if I come back here and go, okay, well, tradable. I mean, so one thing you might consider is instead of just going right into your prop account, which I will test on prop accounts just for that reason, just to test them. So you might run it in sim for a day or two. Don't immediately plow into anything other than sim. Okay, especially if it's your first time, watch it. Okay, everything working right here. Okay, right, just staying within those conditions. Okay, good. Now you load up your sim or your prop account and let it run. And don't feel like you have to go bell to bell, right? If it gets up to $300, don't feel like, yeah, well, shit, I better keep letting it run, right? There's no right answer in terms of when to start it, when to stop it. If you want to get something close to that and it's going bell to bell, again, that's why maybe let it run for a couple of days in sim and see what's the result. Did it get up 300 and then give it back, or doing something like that? Did you just have a bad streak? Now, one bad day is not enough to re-optimize, but if it were severe and it was way outside of these parameters here, which it shouldn't be, the only way it would it's going to turn off if it hits your drawdown limit. But if there were a big gap down and there were slippage, right, it might go beyond that. So you got to consider that. But for the most part, if it gets to minus 350, it's just going to turn itself off. Just whether it's ASB or Ninja, right? Those controls are built into it. So you don't have to fear like, oh God, if I leave this thing on and I come back, it's down 5 grand. That's not going to happen. So you've got a very reasonable equity curve here. So I come back to, well,
um,
hmm,
thinking about we're running
I,
45 minutes already. Can we load it in ASP just for people to see?
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what I do, right? I'm spoiled. So I will load it into Eagle Warrior. Let's load it into ASP. So first thing I always do and go, okay, what is it doing? Okay, well, note it's in a sequence here, so that you note that here. ATR is less than 35. Well, that seems odd. And the SMA is greater than the open. Weird, right? So then the next thing that I do, right, if I can, this is, is there advantage to having ASP? And absolutely, but we're not trying to you make that conditional to a good experience. You can certainly have a good experience just with the auto builder, but if money were not an object, right? You would certainly want to have both because now I can come here. I go to reports. So this is the first thing I always do is I go to reports and say, well, how did it do spread out across the day? Assuming I can get it to load here. There we go. Okay, so obviously it's not very good at noon. I mean, that's actually not terrible. I would no, I would go here. I would definitely turn it off at noon, right? And then we'd look here and say, okay, well, if I take that out, which is not an unreasonable place to be turning off an algo in the first place, right? We're likely to not have much traction there. If I push this off, okay, again, if I sent that to you and said, would you trade this in one lots? Max drawdown? Another place I always go first. What's my average winner to average loser? I want to see as close to 2 to 1 as I can get there, right? That's not bad. Not bad. 50-50 on winners to losers, right? Which is actually very good. Very good. Remember, we're after just the slightest of edge. What do the hours look like here? I know that from the Monte Carlo that I've got a good result here. So I might come here and say, just double check it. I've got a little lag, I think. So, okay, look, I see the majority of it is above risk of ruin, 0. The only negative here, or where it's giving me a yellow here, is on average profit to max drawdown, which, still, these are all very good, very tradable. If you want to put it through more rigorous back testing here, you could. You don't really need to. You could. So another thing that I'll do, if I might come here and go, okay, I like what that gave me here, but now I want to be more precise in what I'm optimizing here. So certainly I would uncheck hours because we're focused on RTH hours. I might come here and say, okay, I want to go to, as I just showed you, I will often go to Sharpe ratio. But if I wanted to make my own, right, this I think is important people see this here. Like this is one, I just made that one. I wanted to put all this stuff in here. Give me the full boat. Give them each a little bit here. What I give the most? Sharpe ratio. But you might load those all up and give them different weightings, and you're going to get a different result. Which is why I'm telling you, no two traders are going to have the same algo. You're just not, right? I could go profit factor only. I want to make a new one here. Okay, well I'm gonna let's add a metric. Okay, I want to do max drawdown, 10%. I want to add another metric. Okay, well let's make uh, average trade. I could do that. Right. See, you just start making them up here, right? You get a combination. That's why I said it's a little bit of a treasure hunt. Maybe I'll come up with a combination nobody else has thought of, which is very probable. And I want to add another one here. Okay, compound annual growth rate. Okay, well, I've only got 40% here. So maybe I want to make this, 50%. And I
Yeah,
want,
and
go ahead.
I think this um, already shows you the difference between our Studio Pro and the Strategy Builder.
Yeah, yeah, right. I didn't want to get too far into
The
ASP.
Algas, no, the Studio Pro is for people would like to take the strategy or create a strategy from scratch
Because
and tweak it and optimize it. And the Strategy Builder is more meant for people who just have some indicators which they have the feeling of, okay, these are good indicators. I know there is something profitable in them. Just create me a strategy which works and which I can trade.
yeah,
And ASP,
so
Studio Pro is
ASP,
more for
yeah,
tweaking.
yeah, you can really be there. You have, I mean, infinitely more control over what you can do here. But there are things that ASP does that ASP cannot do. It can't look at all these different combinations because you're directing it. You can certainly come over to ASP and I could go to the optimizer here and I could go here and say, okay, optimize the indicators, optimize my targets, my stops, right? You've got all this control in ASP. In ASP, I'm doing it a little bit differently here. If I'm over here, I still have a lot of control over it here, and I'm going to get combinations that I would have to, from my head, to say, okay, I want to create this in ASP. I'd have to create that deliberately. It wouldn't just find it for me. So again, this is ASB focused here, but I'm just, there's certainly, again, if money were no object, right, certainly it would be benefit to having both, but you don't need to have both. What you have here, just from ASP, as we're looking at Eagle Warrior here, is you've got an edge. Okay, let's trade it for a couple of days, right? Do I still feel like I have an edge? Is it profitable? Okay, at the end of the week, do I want to just come back here and go to the same one? I could just re-optimize. Or maybe I want to change the weighting and say, okay, now I want this one for sure. I want you to include that one. I want you to for sure include the ATR. If I click that, and we'll do the period. If I click that, I'm going to get a different result. So if I might go here and I'm going to, oh, let's see, where am I? I'm going to go here. I'm going to go down to, well, let's go to full boat here where I had all of those things. If I
Um,
run it, I'm going to get a different result because I changed these. I changed this. I could go back to 24/5. So many different variables here. And the only thing that matters to me is do I have something here that gives me a statistical edge that's tradable, that has good numbers? Okay, well, let's run it for 4 or 5 days and see what the results look like. Oh, it was really good.
so,
Tuesday had a bad day. Why? What was happening on Tuesday that if I can go back and look at it? Maybe I want to tweak something. Maybe the ATR was, giving me bad. I don't, there's no telling what it might be. I'm sorry, Erwin, you wanted to add a comment? Erwin,
Sam,
yeah, did I lose you?
yeah, Sam, I was wondering if we should go to Q&A
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
and go to
Yeah, because I could
Q&A
talk for an hour. Okay,
and then, no, I'm still here.
okay. Q and A.
There
If
we go.
if there are any questions or if you want me to run a combination, whatever you want here, we're here to try and help you. So whatever you'd like to see, just let us know if there's anything you'd like to see.
Yeah, and then after Q&A, we're going to pick one random person from the attendance, who will receive a 1 month free subscription to the
Yeah.
strategy builder.
Yeah, and hopefully you can come back here and maybe watch this and go. I mean, the thing of it is, getting started is not very hard. It's just that you want to be sure that you understand all these variables here. What am I looking at here? And I mean, there's a degree of self-explanatory nature to them. But if you're unsure, right, it's always helpful to have someone kind of walk you through it and to go, do I need to tweak that? Do I touch that? If I touch that, what does it do to that? I mean, again, we only.
So any questions from somebody? You can either speak or type them in the chat. Something you want to know, something unclear.
I think
Mm,
Yolanda has a question.
Hello.
Is that Philip?
Yes, sir.
Shoot,
Um, it's just a quick question,
please.
because I, I just need, when you subscribing to this software that you don't know how to use. I did ask the question and somebody sent me some link, so I'm just looking for like educational videos that will give me the ideas how to use it and how to get my head around it, because it is vital for you to know how to use the software and what you're doing. I mean, I've done the trial. It's a very decent software, very good. But for you to get, I mean, your money and enjoy what you're doing, you need to get that, I mean, good understanding of what you're doing. I mean, and get a grasp on what you're doing. Because I had a lot of friends who looking for stuff like this, but some of those people they want to see proof that you're making money on what you claim you're using. So once you show them the proof, they will come
Well,
on board.
okay. There's to make a distinction. We don't sell algos, right? We sell the tools to build algos. So we want to teach you how to build your own. If I show you one that's making money and you say, okay, I just want that one, well, then I'm selling algos.
No, no, no,
Uh,
no. I'm not looking for that. I'm
Yeah,
looking
right.
how
You
to
you're
able
just
to
talking about
use it.
how to use it. Okay, so
Yeah.
did you pick up any value in the process? Do you want me to go through the process again? Did I go too fast?
No, you didn't go too fast. The only thing is, because it's only now that I'm able to zoom close to the Zoom because it was too far away for me, so I couldn't see
Oh, okay.
clearly. But I think I've seen one video on YouTube that you were demonstrating how this work, and I have some few indicators which are third-party indicators that I might able to use. I mean, to get them in a good way. So I'm not. I'm really confident this is. It's a good software. It's just that I mean I was wondering if there's videos that you can watch, like educational stuff that you can watch that can able to give you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yes, yes, definitely. Well, they're probably I think we have 47 videos on ASP and ASB. There on our YouTube channel. There are a number on our website. When you go to the Auto Strategy Builder section, there are videos there. But the
Right.
YouTube channel is where you'll find all of them, and there are quite a few that are very recent on the Strategy Builder.
Right.
All right, so you just want to make that distinction. Some of them are on Algo Studio Pro, and some of them are on the Auto Strategy Builder, right? So one's a subsection of the other. So what you did see me use a little bit of ASP today, just for that additional demonstration, but you don't need to have it, right? You can work just within the Ninja script, as we just looked at that. Now, if you've not worked with that before, I mean, I've done some video on that. We could do something very specific to that. Of course, also, Ninja has great content on how to work with that. It's very simple, right? You're just loading it onto a chart, but
Hmm.
maybe a walkthrough on that would be a good idea. Just to here's
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Exactly.
right. Here's exactly how to do it.
Right.
Sometimes I go a little too fast, right? I make assumptions that people follow, right? And if you're brand new to it, you're like, whoa, slow down,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Right? Because we all learn a little bit. That is that benefit of being able to pause the video and go, okay, what did he
Mhm.
just do? Right. So, yes, you can look for that, and we are going to host these now on the reg. Um, and they will get, more sophisticated as we go. But the first one, we want to just be sure that, okay, here's the basics. What are all these columns? What do they
Right.
mean? And okay, here's a result. I mean, we're going for an hour, and we only done one algo. I had five algos ready to go, but it's a lot to explain. But
Right.
just the process, it should be relatively straightforward. The process of building one. I mean,
Right.
if you just kept all the defaults here, just left everything default, and you just put
Mhm.
in here, I mean, we could just whatever you like, whatever, like, oh shit, I love this XYZ indicator. Let's see what. The other thing you can do that I've done, now I will confess, right? I do send it into ASP. I'll just put in RSI in there and go
Right.
find me the best combination. And then I
Okay.
go, okay, well, now look what I've got here. I've got an RSI combination that backtests really well. Then I might
Mhm.
send that over to ASP where I'm gonna have it in here. And then I might say, well, maybe I'm gonna add an EMA to that, or I'm gonna add some volume or a swing filter, right? I mean, you're able to be much, much more precise and creative with Algo Studio Pro because I've got so many more options to it. The other thing, oh shit, we probably don't have time. We'll do this next time. I was going to drop in the footprint, but
Yeah.
we'll just
Yeah.
go too long.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you about because I was trying to figure out. So, okay, let's say you have just one indicator that has been built by a third party, like
Mhm.
the
Yeah,
footprint.
yeah.
So you can able to use the strategy builders to give you combinations of stuff that you're looking. Just that single indicator without not even add any other indicators there because it's already been pre-built.
Okay, so right here, this is our footprint indicator.
Right,
Right. It doesn't have to be ours, right? So anything that has plots, it will be able to read. So,
right.
and I did a video on this very specifically. It's within
Mhm.
the last month on our YouTube channel, and I think it even says it talks about it, right? If you can't find it, DM us and I'll send you the link to it. But it's right on our YouTube channel on Trade Devils
Right.
Indicators. I could do this. Right here, I could say,
Mhm.
okay, I want you to take every one of these, every plot that's in the footprint indicator. I'm not going to touch the parameters. I just want you to work on the plots, right? Those are essentially order flow signals. I want you to look at those, and I'm going to take everything else out here. I just want it to work on the footprint chart, and let's use whatever, right? Maybe using a range bar. Remember, it enters end of bar, so maybe using a range bar, right? A lot of people prefer that because of the entry at the end of the bar. So maybe you're working with a 20 range on the MNQ, or 40 range actually would be more appropriate. You just drop those in and hit generate, and it's
Right.
going to give you 30 days worth of data using these footprint plots, and it's going to give you an equity curve. I mean, I
Mm.
won't do it now because that one will take a little bit longer. But right now, even if I just ran it again, since I've added the devil's edge here, I've added that, I'm going to get a different result. Might be better,
Right.
might be worse, right? But
Right.
it's going to be different. And then if I go, oh, that's good, but oh no, I want to let's just go for net profit. Okay, now I'm going to get a different result. Ah, that's too much. Oh, okay, let's be conservative. I'm going to go conservative, low risk. Different result.
Mhm.
Okay.
Do,
But
do,
let's
do,
save that for the next
next one,
webinars.
right? Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Do you want
Let,
me to wrap it up here, Erwin? Have we gone too
yeah.
long?
Is it okay if I share my screen, because
Oh,
then we
please,
go into
absolutely. Please do. Yeah, right. Please take
then we go into
the
the
burden
pick
off
the
me.
winner.
Nobody knows it better than the guy who wrote the code.
Um, they say, yeah. They say.
Okay. Let's see.
So,
Do I have to stop share?
no, I can share my screen, and then
Tell me if I have to stop share.
tell me if you can see my screen. That's better.
Uh, woof. I think I have to stop share.
You can stop sharing. That's no worries.
Okay. Yes. Now I see. Good afternoon, Erwin. Yes, I see your
Yeah.
cloud.
So I've gone to cloud. Everybody's using AI these days, so I'm using it too. I've put in all your names here as a screenshot. These are all the participants currently in the webinar, and I'm just going to ask it to pick a random number. So just know it's AI choosing today, and let's see what it comes up with, who it comes up with. And the winner is Joyce. So Joyce, if you can give us your email address or other way to contact you, then we will give you the free subscription for 1 month for the software. And if you like it, you can continue it, of course, and otherwise you can just cancel it. But at least you get the 1 month free for using the software.
Hey, I didn't know we could do that. Well, of course we can do that. So we'll do that. We'll do it on the regs, right? So give people a
Yeah.
little encouragement to sit through us babbling for an hour. Hopefully you picked up a few ideas. So here, I mean, here's the one we just built.
Sorry,
That's
you're not sharing your screen
Oh yeah.
anymore.
Sorry. I forgot. I'm not sharing anymore. Oh shit. I don't know if we can. Oh, fuck. Here, hang on. Share. Oh fuck. I may be done. Okay. I don't. I'm so lame with Zoom. I don't know why I have trouble with it, but I am. Okay. Well, I guess we'll wrap up here. We were going to end with that. Okay. We will host these again. This has been recorded. These will get progressively, more sophisticated as we get into more stuff, more combinations, different combos. The point is we want you experimenting. That's the value. And the other thing is, I'm going to reemphasize this again. Your goal is not to find one fantastic algo. That's not the goal. Your goal, I'd rather find five good ones and diversify them across markets, across time frames, across if so many of you doing prop accounts, right? What is a 50K prop account?
Yeah,
$49,
50K.
right? So that I always test everything because I know that's what you're doing, right? So I say, okay, so everything I test is within a 50K prop account. So if you had five of them, okay, right? That's not that's $250. Okay, granted. So you've got five of them. Now I want like a volume based one. Okay, so I'll throw in and say, okay, I want just volume indicators on this one. Okay, I want this one over here. I want this one to be footprint. I want just oscillators on this one. I want a super trend with an ATR based filter on this one. So I've got this diversification of approaches running on five different algos across five different accounts. If each you're not they're not all going to be profitable every day, but it's that diversification of approaches. And I'm pulling this directly from the teaching of Jim Simons, who's the most successful algo trader in human history. And that's a direct quote from him. I'm not looking for one spectacular algo. In his quote, I'm looking for 300 mediocre ones because that edge over time compounds. And that's what you're trying to do. Give me five good ones. At the end of the week, reevaluate. And now you could certainly do this in Sim because you can create five different Sim accounts. Test them. Don't just fly into the money side of it. Right? I mean, there is any professional system trader, they'll paper trade it for 90 days before they let it touch any live money. We have people coming here. And this is one of the reasons we want to start these webinars. We saw people trialing it less than 2 weeks. They're like, I'm out of here. Oh, they're not even testing it before they're bailing because they're thinking, oh, I'm going to click one button and I'm just going to go to the bank every day. That trading's not doesn't work that way. There's effort, there's testing, there's back testing, there's journaling, there's reviewing your results. I mean, this is we're not fucking around here. This is not like supposed to be just push button click. It's not like going to Vegas and pulling the slot machine. There should be some effort put into this, some testing, some experimentation. This is good, that's not good. Right, just like the generic algorithm is doing, right? Gets 100 bad ones, keeps one. Then it does it again, gets another one, now I got two good ones. It does it again, now I got three good ones. Different approaches, different markets, different time frames. Maybe you like tick charts. Maybe you got one over here that's a 1 minute. We've got people running them on 15-second.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's
not
so many
recommending that.
variations. Yeah, we are not recommending that. But that's why I use one. Most people they go right to the 1 minute. Okay,
Okay.
well, can you get an edge with the 1 minute? If you can, keep going.
Okay. So let's wrap it up. Guys, if you want to try it, we offer a free 7-day trial. So please make sure to use that. If you want to know how to get it, just go to the website. There's a big free trial button. You can also ask it in the Discord if you want.
And lots of video content
Um,
on the YouTube channel.
and of course, you can also get a monthly subscription to the product. It's 99 euros, sorry, dollars a month. And you can cancel or pause at any time.
So what's your hurdle, right? The first objective is can I make $99?
Exactly.
And if you can't make $99 a month with it, something's very wrong. Very wrong. Please reach out to us if that's the case because you're doing something wrong. There's a problem in your approach, right? That's what maybe I say it that way. So again, test, test, test. Okay. With that, I guess we wrap it up there. Okay. Congratulations to Joyce. Glad we got a winner. We'll keep doing that on the regs. And this is recorded for any of you that I know. Las Vegas guy, he missed it, right? So it's recorded. Most people, don't have middle of the day to, sit on a webinar. So this will be recorded, and we will record all of them. We're going to build a library up here, and they will get more. Next one won't be just on the basics. Okay, with that, I guess we're out of here. Are we done, everyone?
Yeah, we're done. I'm sending Joy her subscription and see you on the next webinar.
Okay, thanks, guys.